G'day YouTube, Quacker John here, and today I have a video of when I went on a 10-week tour in Australia on my Kawasaki GPZ1000RX in 1986. In 1986 I had my brand new Kawasaki GPZ1000RX and I wanted to go on a long road trip around Australia. So I took 10-week vacation from work and I went from Adelaide to Melbourne, across the Bass Strait on the car ferry to Tasmania to Hobart, then back to Melbourne, then north to Sydney, to Brisbane, to Adelaide Beach on the Whitsunday Islands, to Townsville, and then inland, west inland to Alice Springs, and then back to Adelaide. Over the 10 weeks, I travelled 7,500 kilometres, or approximately 4,700 miles. The bike had a top speed of 260 kilometres per hour, and I generally travelled 220 to 240 kilometres an hour on the open highway. Okay, I began the trip riding 727 kilometres from Adelaide to Melbourne. This is the present day city of Adelaide, which has a population of 1.3 million people and is Australia's 5th largest city. And this is Melbourne, which has a population of 5 million people and is Australia's 2nd largest city. I stayed in Melbourne overnight, and the next day I took the car ferry from Melbourne to Devonport, Tasmania. This is the present day car ferry. Tasmania is a very scenic island that is across the Bass Strait from Melbourne. In the north of Ireland you can see the town of Devonport where the ferry landed, and in the south you can see the capital city of Hobart. I travelled around Tasmania visiting all the tourist spots. This is the capital city of Hobart, which has a population of 206,000. Just southwest of Devonport you can see Cradle Mountain, Lake St Clair National Park, and this is Cradle Mountain. On my trip I went on a 7-day hike on the Overland Trail, which is 80 kilometres, that's 50 miles from Cradle Mountain to Lake St Clair. I also did a 10-day rafting trip on the Wild, Gordon and Franklin rivers on the west side of Tasmania that came to the town of Strahan. So I spent about 3 weeks in Tasmania before returning to Melbourne on the car ferry. So I was back on the road again, riding the 883 kilometres from Melbourne to the city of Sydney. Sydney is Australia's biggest city with a population of 5.2 million people. I stayed in Sydney a couple of days with relatives before riding the 916 kilometres to Brisbane. Brisbane is the capital city of Queensland, and with a population of 2.3 million is Australia's 3rd largest city. I stayed there a couple of days with relatives. Brisbane is the capital city of Queensland, and with a population of 2.3 million is Australia's 3rd largest city. I stayed there a couple of days with relatives. I had my bike serviced in Brisbane and then rode north the 1,099 kilometres to Adelaide Beach on the Whitsunday Islands. Red Rocket, which was my nickname for my bike, was handling the kilometres very easily. Here is a photograph of Adelaide Beach where I stayed overnight. The Whitsunday Islands are a beautiful part of Australia and a major tourist destination of Australia. From Adelaide Beach, I rode the 275 kilometres north to Townsville and stayed there overnight. I then rode west into the outback of Australia, riding 1,773 kilometres to Alice Springs and staying overnight at Mount Isa along the way. I then rode the final leg of my long journey, 1,534 kilometres from Alice Springs back to Adelaide, and I stayed overnight along the way. This is Alice Springs. A section of the highway between Alice Springs and Adelaide at that time was dirt, about a 200 kilometre section of road, and as the sun set, I dropped my bike in the dirt. I picked up my bike and continued riding. The next day I was riding 240 kilometres an hour as I was returning to Adelaide. I had the bike serviced in Adelaide when I returned, and the mechanic said that every major bolt on the bike was loose and one was missing. And I was riding at 220 to 240 kilometres an hour. He said I was very lucky. Well, that was my 10-week trip across Australia, where I saw a lot of what Australia has to offer. It was great fun and I enjoyed every minute. Red Rocket, my Kawasaki GPZ1000RX, handled the trip and the many kilometres extremely well and at high speed. Now in 2020, I have a Kawasaki Vulcan S, a cruiser bike, and I'm loving it.
Well, thanks for watching my video. If you enjoy my videos, subscribe to the channel. I have 2 live streams a week, Monday night at 8 PM and Saturday night at midnight. Both times are Brisbane, Australia local time. And you're most welcome to join in on the live streams. See ya!